2-2-2. Oh. water of zo, dat van voor in het geval dat er iemand droge mond of zo krijgt.
Nou,
Maar dat gebeurt meestal wel niet, maar je weet nooit
maar
dat je zo
misschien
opeens...
voor de volgende bijvoorbeeld ook wel. Dat is misschien wel een goed ding. Hè.
We gaan er wel zetten, maar waarschijnlijk gaat dat eerder hier staan dan daar. Dus drink misschien voordat je op het podium
Ja, is misschien wel
Ja,
goed,
ja,
dus
maar ja, het is maar gewoon als je zo'n droge
Oké.
krop krijgt.
Ja,
Dat wel niet.
dat is wel ook
allee.
handig voor de rest straks. Hè. Ja.
Ça va, ça va. Ik weet niet,
Hoesting wel,
meer
maar
zo...
All right. Hey, very good evening, everyone. Sorry for a bit of the delay. You know how these things go. Anyway, I would like to welcome you here at Hal 5 on behalf of LC, the Leuven Community for Innovation-Driven Entrepreneurship. At LC, we try to promote and stimulate student entrepreneurship at KU Leuven. We do this in many ways. We offer startup support at our own startup incubator, where there are some teams working on the future of their own startup. We host events. We support faculties wherever possible. And of course, since we realize that not all students can be entrepreneurial straight from the bat, we founded PIP in order to get students to learn certain skills, to get an entrepreneurial mindset. And as I said, we founded PIP. We founded it in 2015. We've grown tremendously since. We've built an amazing timeline in the other hall, so make sure to check it out. But please, of course, after the presentations. Since, as I said, this is all about PIP. This is all about six teams that have worked an entire year, that have worked a tremendous amount put a tremendous amount of time into their projects, and this is their moment to shine. So we've got 6 hopefully very inspiring presentations lined up for you. And without further ado, I would like to get to the first team of the evening. The first team of the evening is Proefrit, which is a team sponsored by the province of Flemish Brabant. For those of you who have trouble with my English, that is the provincie Vlaams-Brabant. Thank you. At least one person enjoyed the joke. Anyway, without spoiling too much of their presentation, they worked around locally based things, and maybe it might be interesting for those of you that are quite hungry already. Don't worry, you've got catering after the presentations, but yeah, let's see what they got to say. So give a big round of applause for Proefrit.
Good evening, everybody. We're the team of Vlaams-Brabant. I'm Gilles, and tonight I'm going to talk about Proefrit. Excuse me. I would like to start off with a little story. I would like you all to meet Antoon. Antoon is a very lovely guy. He lives in Betekom, and he's really passionate about a specific thing, and that's making liquors. He's not only passionate about it, but he's actually quite good at it. That's why he, together with his wife, decided to start a store. Now, this store has been a thriving local store for many years, where people from the village of Betekom and around would go to specifically to get those liquors by Antoon. This went all very well for a long period of time, but however, in the recent years, things haven't been looking so great. Their sales are declining, and this is because consumers consume in a different way now than that they used to. People don't go anymore to 5 different places to get what they need. They just get it from one place. Now, to help with these declining sales, Steffe Streek, it's our producer, it's our sponsor. It's a non-profit organization from the province of Vlaams-Brabant. And what they do to help local producers is they give them a platform. That way they can share all their experiences and all their events, and they also give them promotional material. While this is a very good initiative, it hasn't been really enough to boost these products and to get their capacity up again. Next, I would like you to meet 2 friends of mine. The one's called Max and the other one's called Eva. They live near Betekom, and they basically order everything they want online, including their food. Now, they also like to give parties once in a while, and they would love to have some liquor at those parties. So now we ask the question, why doesn't Anton, a typical local producer, sell to people like Max and Eva, which are typical modern-day consumers? Well, we as a team looked at this problem, and we basically concluded that it was possible to make this into two pillars. The first one being there's no awareness. People don't know what their local products are anymore, let alone they buy them. And next to this, no awareness, there's no availability. So people can't really easily get their local products. Now, as a team, we tried to think about how could we empower these regional products so that in 3 simple steps, you can discover them, order them, and enjoy them. Simple as that. So the first of these 3 steps is discover, of course. The thing we came up with is called Proefrit, and it looks like it looks like this, right? So it's a little food truck that you can also see at our booth, and this cute little thing goes around the region of Vlaams-Brabant from city to city at certain events or at marketplaces. And what it basically does there is it will give the people the chance to discover these regional products. Now, what better way to discover regional products than to taste them, right? So that's what we'll do. We'll give people tasters of products that are made in that region where Proefrit is located. Now, next to this, while we're at it, we'll give them a possibility to look at some distribution partners we work with, so they can order these products that they tasted immediately online. Now, next to this first thing that I explained, the tour, going around from city to city, we also have a second service, and that's the rental service. And the goal of this service is to rent out the Proefrit to certain producers if they want to use it to, for example, go to an event. So that way, producers really get a way to boost their own product. To know where the Proefrit is at what time, there's an online platform where you can find which dates are already reserved, and if you're a producer, you can find out if there are free dates where you can rent the Proefrit.
All right, so this brings us to our second step, which is ordering the products. Like Anton, there are lots of other strafstreek producers who are just not visible enough and who are just too hard to reach online as well as in retail stores. So, we did some research, and of the around 300 strafstreek producers, more or less 10% of them is currently joining one of our future online platforms, which is actually not enough and which still leaves lots of opportunity for these businesses to grow themselves. So let me introduce you to our 2 future online partners. There is B-Drop and there is Boeren en Buren. They both create an online platform for these producers where they can list their products, list their prices, and if it's available or not. They both have very reasonable commissions and terms, and they have online ordering and online payment systems. The main difference, however, is that B-Drop offers free delivery for consumers, which is actually, so the price online is exactly the same price as in the store, while Boeren en Buren creates these pickup points, which they call buurderij, which is actually a contraction of 2 Dutch words, buur and boerderij, where you can come and pick these products up. You can have a chat with the producer, and in this way there's more interaction and more awareness between producer and consumer. Actually, a fun fact, the place where we are now, Hal 5, is a so-called buurderij. What we did more in detail is we initiated a partnership between Strafstreek and both these partners. So the partner would communicate the concept of Strafstreek as well as the concept of Proefrit to all of their members. So they would communicate the network of Strafstreek, their events, their whole work, the fact that they support local producers, and also the whole Proefrit concept. So the fact that you can rent out a truck even as someone from the outside, and the fact that the truck will be touring around once every now and then in the province. Strafstreek, on the other hand, would communicate the concept of the partners to all of their producers, full in detail, with full assistance, so with also very well organized info sessions to make sure there's maximum interaction, and they would communicate the concept of their partner through the touring concept as well as through all their media. This wraps up the ordering, and of course, then you can enjoy the product. Enjoy the product itself, its fine taste, which is unique to the region, enjoying the region itself, enjoying what it has to offer, learning about the products that actually are created right next door, learning about the producer, so enjoying his story, getting to know him, what he does, why he does it, how he does it, how he plans his day, and also enjoying being green, lowering food kilometers and sustaining the environment. So this wraps up our concept. So first you get to taste the products at a proofread tour, where you get also introduced to the online platforms, after which you can enjoy looking at them at home, where you can order them, and after which you can enjoy them at home after they are picked up or delivered completely free at home. So now we've shown you how our concept works, but to give you some proof of the fact that it exactly works, we have hosted a pilot project in Sint Maartenhuizen at a very local event called the Bloesem Lounge. So each time someone passed by, we offered them a taster. So we offered them a cup of coffee or some syrup or some mustard. And immediately when we did this, we took the chance of introducing them to our concept, as well as introducing them to our online platform. So we explained them how it works, and at the same time, we asked them if they would leave their contact details behind and if they would be willing to make an account. And the results are quite impressive, because we convinced 70% of the visiting families and couples at the spot itself to create an account, which is actually a very high conversion rate, and which actually proves that if you offer people a free taster, they're more willing to be open for a completely new concept, and immediately at the same time they get to know the product and the whole working of Proofread. So this wraps up our concept and our presentation at the same time. I have one more thing to say. Be local, support your neighbors, be green, sustain your environment, and be authentic. Stand out from the crowd. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ooh, goed.
All right, that wraps up our first team. Let's see if I can make it work. Yeah, there we go. So that wraps up our first team. Now we're moving on from, as I said, being very locally based to a more of a global scale. We're moving on to the team Quibble from P&G. So we're moving on to a, as I said before, a multinational global scale. And they're a team that have worked an entire year to make sure that you as a customer, when you're having your experience in your supermarket, because we're talking about experiences, that it gets more, you know, that you enjoy it more, that you get more out of your time within the supermarket. Not always everyone's favorite time, but I'm sure that they've found quite a good solution to make sure that you enjoy your time at a supermarket. So I'm very looking forward to their presentation. So give it up for Quibble.
Right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicholas, and next to me is Sean, and we are very happy to be here today. So, first of all, we would like to know what kind of audience we have in front of us. That is why I am asking you to please join us and stand up. Yeah. All right, great. Now, I will ask you some questions, and as long as you agree with the questions, you need to stay standing up. And once you disagree with the question, you can go and sit down again. So, as a starter, who of you is delighted to be here tonight? Awesome, we love to see that. Now, who of you wants to do something for the climate, wants to help better our environment? If you couldn't care less, you can get seated again. But great, is there still all of you almost standing up? That's perfect. And now, who of you still has some cash in your pockets or perhaps in your wallet? Good, good. All right. All right. Everyone who is still standing up, please gather in front and empty your pockets for the environment. Just kidding, of course. It was a joke, all right, but you can sit down again. But you can imagine if there was this group of people, this organization perhaps, which has already gathered a huge amount of money and uses it and invests it into a better world. Let's say who, for example, already provided 14 billion liters of clean drinkable water to those who cannot access it. Yeah, well, you might be thinking that's UNICEF or the Red Cross maybe. Well, no, actually, it's no other than our partner, Procter & Gamble. But you see, people don't know this, although they make a great impact every single day. So that is why 7 months ago, they handed us the assignment to increase customer engagement while using a novel approach. After a lot of brainstorming and research, we decided to do this by creating an application. This application provides transparency between Procter & Gamble and its customers via information. This information ranges from how P&G makes their products, like for instance, what ingredients are used, what processes, until the activities P&G is currently doing, and even what their future aspirations might be. This way, people will get to know Procter & Gamble better, and they can inform themselves about their products and maybe even the sustainability of certain products, something nowadays people more and more really care about. So today, we present to you Quibble, our image recognition application, which uses augmented reality, to inform you guys. You open the app, scan your products, and get informed.
Pretty neat, huh? As you can see in the video, there are a few different types of information displayed. At the top left corner and the bottom right corner, you can see the most important parts of our app. In the top left, you can see some did you knows, facts, in general, usually about our environment, and in the bottom right, you can see sustainability information that is more product related. You can also see a track my bottle option and a product recommendation. We decided to focus on the environment because through research we learned that this is exactly what the consumer wants. They want to lower their ecological footprint, and they know how to do this in the obvious way, using fewer plastic bags, eating less meat. But what do you do when you're in a common supermarket shopping for a day-to-day product such as shampoo? There is no sustainability information available in those locations, but the consumer does want it to make a good choice. This is where we come in. We give this kind of information to the consumer right when and where they want it. And we do so thanks to our visual clues in a way that it is clear in the blink of an eye whether a product is a good choice or not. This is also what P&G wants. They support many good causes and engage themselves for the climate. Even recently, they released a new set of sustainability goals to be achieved by 2030, with one purpose in mind: to enable and inspire positive impacts on our environment and society. So what it comes down to is this: consumer wants more transparency, P&G wants to provide it, and we, through Quibble, are the ones who actually do it. Then there's also this Track My Bottle option. It is a feature that P&G may choose to implement in the future. If you tap it, this specific bottle you are using with our app, you can follow it throughout this whole recycling process. Meaning that when it's empty and you've thrown it away in the right bag, after a while you may get a notification telling you that this specific bottle is being recycled. Our challenge was to create a new way of consumer engagement through a novel approach. And we thought, what better way to do this than to use a novel technology, especially one that people are eager to use. So we had a few options: augmented reality, virtual reality, or mixed reality, which is something in between. And in the end, because we wanted to convey information, clear-cut in a readily accessible way, we chose augmented reality, because to be able to use AR, you only need your smartphone and nothing extra. So here are some study results to back up this choice. Worldwide, there are almost 2.5 billion smartphone users, meaning that since our app requires just a smartphone, we can already reach a wide audience. Research has also shown that if information is presented through AR, people spend more time interacting with it. And over 60% of shoppers would prefer to shop at a store where they could use AR over a store that doesn't. And this is exactly what we provide. Then there's also a business side of things. What does P&G gain from this? First of all, they gain brand awareness. They don't really need it for their products because they make things like Drift and everyone knows what Drift is. But they need it when it comes to the good causes they support and the engagement for the climate, because people don't really know P&G does this. They can also collect data from our app and, for example, determine whether a product is popular or not. And they can make money through selling information and recommendation spots to other companies. Then another company could pay P&G for advertisements, or they could collaborate and display their own sustainability information. This way, the consumer could use Quibble for both P&G products and for products by the other company, which would be a win-win situation for both. The app we made and that we are going to show you tonight at our booth is just the first version. We can recognize a few products, some P&G, some not, but it's very easy to make it recognize more products or to update information. This is done simply through updating a database. And recognizing new products does not have to be difficult. It can be as easy as just recognizing a logo on packaging. Thanks to our login screen, it is possible to implement a Track My Bottle feature in the future. And we can also use this to keep track of what facts and information the user has already seen to be able to present new facts to them. But when we really look ahead, in the future, what could really make our app grow is collaboration. If enough companies collaborate with P&G on this, then Quibble could become an app that you can use for your whole shopping list.
All of this wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for our team. There they are again. We are a group of students with all different backgrounds who choose all different studies. And we would all like to meet you guys. So after the presentations, please come visit our booth because we need some little help to clean up our river. And as I saw a couple of minutes ago, a lot of you want to help the environment. So that's a perfect way to do it then. Thank you.
All right, that was Quibble. For the next project, we're going to the world of, or the industry of 3D printing. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, I'm sure the next team will be talking about it a bit as well. More specifically, we're going to the team Visualize that have been sponsored by Materialize. Materialize, for those of you that don't know it, was founded here in Leuven and is still active in Leuven, or more specifically in Haasrode. And we're very proud to have been working together with them in a PIP project this year. So I'm very excited to see what Visualize have come up with. So give a big round of applause for Visualize. Thank God.
So, good evening, everybody. It's our pleasure introducing Visualize to you all. Now, Visualize is the outcome of a process in which we have combined the visions of Materialize, our sponsor, and the vision of our own team. For this product, we have used image recognition and deep learning. These concepts might sound unfamiliar to some of you, but after our presentation, you will understand what we did with these concepts and how we turned them into a working product.
Let's start at the beginning. 7 months ago, we met Materialize for the first time. I'm sure most of you all heard from Materialize, but for the few of you who haven't, Materialize is the biggest 3D printing company in Belgium, and they have an outstanding reputation in the global 3D printing industry. The company really is a frontrunner in its category, and they strive to be as innovative as possible day after day. They are specialized in all kinds of 3D printing techniques and provide products for many different industries, such as automotive, healthcare, and architecture. They can print basically anything you can imagine, from glasses to car parts to wheelchairs, you can name it. Innovation is really the DNA of the company, and they try to become better every day. And that's also why they challenged us to improve their current way of working.
Now, what does this mean concretely? I'm quite sure that most of you have played with Lego as a child, and I would like to ask you all to go back to those childhood memories and remember yourself, picture yourself when you were building the latest, most astonishing, for example, Lego spaceship. And your spaceship is almost finished. You just need 1 or 2 very little, tiny, yet important pieces of Lego. And you know those pieces are somewhere up in the whole pile of Lego blocks that's on the table. The sole problem is, where exactly do they are? I guess we all know the feeling of searching way too long and sometimes just not even finding those damn pieces of Lego. Basically, that describes the issue that we decided to tackle at Materialize. Obviously, instead of finding Lego blocks, they have to recognize 3D printed objects. And I don't know how many Lego you had as a child, but Materialize certainly has a lot of 3D printed objects. We're talking about files, about print sessions in which they can print up to 300 different unique objects. And every day there are at least 10 print sessions. So if you multiply 300 by 10, you get 3,000 objects. So daily, within the 8 hours of a working day, there are 3,000 objects that have to be recognized manually. Now, the question you may have is, why do they have to recognize these pieces? Don't they just know what they print? For sure, they know what they print. The sole problem is that all those pieces are printed all together, those 300 pieces, and between those pieces, there's some white powder, some white sand. So basically, it's like you're an archaeologist that has to dig out and search for all the pieces. Those 3,000 pieces have to be dug out and recognized every single day.
So now you understand the main issue that we wanted to tackle. The recognition of 3D printed objects is a very monotonous, but yet at the same time, a very labor-intensive task because it requires a high level of concentration. It is crucial that every part is identified correctly. Nevertheless, this task is far from being inspiring. We were convinced that we could come up with a product that is able to recognize these objects by making less mistakes and by doing so in a way that is much faster than humans can. At the same time, we were convinced that we could give employees the possibility to focus more on the facets of the production process that still require a lot of human interaction, and in those processes, they could create the most added value. So we came up with a product that, at one hand, benefits Materialise as a company by increasing the scalability and the efficiency of the task, and at the same time allows employees to focus more on the parts of the production process that still require a lot of human interaction. In this way, we increase the quality of the entire production process.
As a team of young and driven students, we were convinced that the unique combination of our various different educational backgrounds gave us the exceptional opportunity to achieve those goals and to reinvent their current way of working. So after a lot of brainstorming sessions, after a lot of meetings and research, we said, why won't we use technology? Why won't we just optimize the recognition part? And we said, let's not do this in the next 20, 10, or 5 years. We said, let's just grab the 7 months we got in October to fix this problem. Therefore, we decided to build a prototype, a product that can automatically recognize all these objects without the need of human interaction. By doing so, we needed image recognition and deep learning.
Let's start with image recognition. Well, the word itself actually explains how it works. We use images to recognize objects. In our case, these images are the 3D files of the printed objects. We take pictures of the printed objects by using 4 different cameras. These pictures are immediately sent to our computer. An algorithm that works with deep learning then processes these pictures on this computer. The most important thing you should know about deep learning is that it works better the more you use it. Now, what does this algorithm actually do? The algorithm links the picture with the correct 3D file and tells us which object we recognized. Well, I'm not going to go any further into the technical details, but you must know that we wrote this algorithm ourselves, which is really impressive. Because image recognition is not just a technology that you can easily buy online or that is easy to use. It is really difficult, and you have to tailor it to your own needs. But enough said, let's have a look at our product in action. As you can see, we built a rotating disk on which we placed several printed objects. Our recognition system then recognizes these objects and tells us which specific object is on the disk. Of course, we wanted our product to be user-friendly, and we wanted to find a mean in which we could have a clear and structured vision of which object we just recognized. That's why we designed this practical interface in which all our recognized objects are displayed.
Now you all have a better insight in how we optimized a part of the production process of Materialise by optimizing the recognition of 3D printed objects. We would like to thank you all for your attention, and we're more than proud to be able to invite you to our booth. So I would just like to finish with saying, just come to our booth and discover our prototype in action. Thank you.
All right. A bit of confidence there in the team, but that can't hurt, I think. We're staying in Leuven for the next team, more specifically by a team sponsored by the City of Leuven. This is the second year in a row that the City of Leuven sponsors a PIP team. At Elsie and me personally, we're very excited about that because we believe that Leuven, of course, has a tremendous amount of potential. But it can only work when people are brought together, and students are an important part of Leuven, and therefore we're very happy that for the second year in a row they have helped us with helping a team of students grow beyond their own dreams, hopefully. And their team, their project, it revolves around an important thing in Leuven. And the thing is, in Leuven, as I said, Leuven is an amazing city, but there are too many bubbles. People don't really know each other. The students have their own world, of course. When you're an adult and you have to go working in the morning, you're not going to a party. So there are all these different worlds. And I think the next team, Dive, has found a great solution and hopefully bringing together some people in Leuven. So give it up for Dive.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Chris, and alongside me is Alexander. And tonight, we wanted to begin by speaking about something which I think we both wish we learned a long time ago. And that is, how do you approach someone at a bar? Now, don't worry, this is not a pickup session or anything. However, say you're at maybe, I don't know, Café Belge, and you see someone of interest, and you're like, I think I'd like to go speak with them. However, you start to get a little bit nervous. But why are you getting nervous about this? It's not because you're worried about what you're actually going to talk about with the person, or are they going to be interesting, or will they like me? No, instead, the reason why we get nervous about approaching people is because we're not sure about how to approach them and how to start the conversation. And sometimes we may think that you have to come up with something really witty, or you have to come up with something really interesting. However, the best way to really approach someone is by starting with a simple question, such as, do you come here often? And after you start with this initial question, then the interaction with the other person begins. And when you're speaking with them, all of a sudden you might come up with something interesting and the conversation flows. And then once the conversation is over, you're not going to remember about how you approached them. Instead, you're going to have a memory about the interaction that you shared and the interesting things that you talked about. Now, these short questions, which break down the barrier of entry, do not only occur when you're approaching someone at a bar. They also happen in many other facets in life. And another area where these short questions really help out in approaching people is in tourism. So when we conventionally think about tourism, you may think about how, okay, I'd like to go visit a city, so I'll go online and I'll search for a tour operator and I'll see what types of attractions that tour offers. So then you go to the city and you go on the tour and you'll just see the different locations. However, within the last 5 to 10 years, because of companies like Airbnb and Couchsurfing, you have the spawn of a new type of tourism. And this new type is known as experiential tourism. So as the name implies, instead of focusing necessarily on just the attractions that you'll see in a city, it focuses more on the experiences that you'll share. And as a tourist, instead of just thinking of yourself as a tourist, you want to switch your mindset to actually thinking of yourself as a temporary local. So for instance, say if you go to Paris and you see the Eiffel Tower, so you'll probably take a selfie with your friends or your family that you're with. However, when you go home and you want to talk about your trip, you're not going to talk about how you took a selfie with your family. Instead, you want to talk about a memory that you had. And preferably, sometimes the best memories you can have when you're traveling is when you're talking with other people. So because of that, we got the challenge from Visit Leuven. Our challenge was how to strengthen the experience for both visitors and locals by encouraging and enabling the interaction between the two. And we believe that Dive is a solution to that problem.
Now, to understand why we believe Dive is a solution, it's important to understand two things. First of all, what already exists, and what are we doing differently? So for a bit of context, expenditure related to tourism is 10% of global GDP. So we had to refine ourselves to 2 key markets. We found there were 4 recurring products and services in these markets. So first of all, there are guided maps, guided apps, guided tours, and workshops. So the advantage you have with maps is that you can see the highlights and the hidden gems of a city, but there's no real interaction. The applications of the modern world have introduced videos of locals to take you around the city, but the interaction is still passive. So how do you get an active interaction in the city? It's through these workshops and guided tours. But the problem they have is you can't choose who the local is, and you have to go to certain time slots. So what we do differently is we take the highlights and the hidden gems of Leuven. We also mix it with an active interaction. And we do this with a variety of locals at any time instantaneously. So as Chris alluded to earlier, the way we do this is by facilitating that initial interaction between tourists and locals. And we hope that by doing this, every tourist that comes to the city can have an authentic and unique interaction. Now, one of the reasons we've been able to do this is our ability to empathize with both locals and tourists. So we have internationals on the team, but also locals of Leuven. And we're also multidisciplinary. So as a result, we've been able to produce an application which Chris will take you through now.
So once you have Dive downloaded onto your phone, the first thing you'll do is open it up, and you'll come to the Start screen. And on the Start screen, you can either choose Demo, and when you hit Start Demo, it'll just give a quick tutorial of how the app works. However, for tonight's purposes, we'll click on Meet the Locals. So once you click on Meet the Locals, you'll come to the About Me page. And what our team did over the last few months was we went around Leuven and we interviewed numerous locals, and we asked them about some of the hidden gems that they thought the city offered, as well as we asked them about different experiences that maybe they would like to share with tourists. And then we took these stories and we created narratives with a few locals, and they'll give a storyline through the tour. So to begin for tonight, we will meet Carleen. And Carleen has lived in Leuven for over 40 years. And she also wants to talk tonight about how she studied in Leuven and some of the experiences that she had while she studied. And as you can see beneath the photo of Carleen, there are certain icons. And these icons will let you know about different interests that this tour offers. So for instance, if there's a coffee cup, then that means you might stop at a cafe along the tour. Or if there's a book, then that has to do something with the university in Leuven. And then also, we'll show about the distance for roughly how long this tour will be. So once we see Carleen, and we think that we're interested in her, so we'll click on Let's Go. And once you click on Let's Go, then we have our first location, or as we like to call it, a conversation. So there will be a short description of a location, and it'll give certain clues about what the location is. However, we will not give the actual name of the location. So as the user and the tourist, first you will read the description. So the description reads that in between the library and where Carleen's cot is operated, there's a lovely cafe. And in this cafe, it's on a corner, and it has some of the best spaghetti that she's ever had. So as a tourist, we would read this, and then we would also see the picture that is on the app. And then, since we don't have the actual name of the location, we have to go and start a conversation with the local on the street. And this is how we break down the barrier to entry between the local and the tourist. So we have the description, and we walk up to and we start a conversation with the local. And you get to speaking. And although the conversation will begin talking about whether the local will know the location or not, then the conversation might spawn into other areas because the tourists will try to get more local knowledge, and that way they can shift their mindset from being just a tourist to more as a temporary local. And as well as for the local, on their side of the interaction, they'll be able to speak with someone who maybe they don't operate with in their everyday life. And just in case the description that we give is not enough for the local to know the location that we're speaking about, we'll give an extra tip. And the way that is if you hit on the bottom left of the screen where there's a light bulb, so if you click on that, then an extra tip will appear. So for this tip, it talks about how on the facade of the building, there is a woman holding an apple. And then maybe also we can ask the tourists if they like the spaghetti there as well. And besides giving this extra tip, because this is about a conversation, if you click on the chat box on the bottom right of the page, then you can click and you can see an extra conversation starter. So the original conversation starter is obviously asking about the location. But just to talk a little bit more and to have a great experience with this local, you can also maybe ask them, for instance, in this one, which is about, have you been here before, or do you have any nice memories here? So once you realize the location, which in this case is the apple, then you would go to that location. And once you go to the location, then the Found It page appears. And if you click on the like button on the left, then an extra recommendation will appear about the area. And if you click on the building icon in the middle, then that will give you a historical fact about the area. And on the right, you can take a photo about the location, or preferably if you want to take a photo with the local that you met, because if you had a nice conversation and you want to have a nice memory about it.
So Chris has guided you through the application itself, but what are the driving forces behind it? Perhaps the best place to start is with our key partners. So our key partners are Visit Leuven and the locals of the city. And we also have our key activities and key resources. So the key things for us to do It was to conduct market analysis, gather stories, develop an application within our group, and then further maintain this application. And because of the simplicity of these activities, the only resources we require are the locals of the city, tourists, and a smartphone with the application downloaded. And once again, these activities reflect themselves in the cost structure. So to date, we've only incurred negligible fixed costs. And by projecting our variable costs out into the short and medium term, we found that what our sponsors are willing to donate matches that. Now, we've mentioned revenue stream, but at this point in time, our main focus is just facilitating the interactions. And once again, our marketing will be congruent with our cost structure, and we'll leverage Visit Lerva's website to advertise it, and also local hotels and B&Bs. So what have we achieved to date, and what do we plan to do in the future? At this point in time, we now have a working application, which you can find in our booth here. And within this application, we have Carlene's story, which Chris mentioned to you, but also Marlies and Florian, who have lived in Leuven their whole life. And Florian's application has also been adapted for bike users. And once we feel that this product is finalized, we will then focus on 3 key mechanisms of growth. So these areas of growth will be increasing the number of downloads, increasing the customer satisfaction, and increasing the customer referrals. And again, once this is at a stage we're happy with, we will then expand the actual content within the application. And we hope that by doing so, we will be able to engage a larger audience of target groups. So if you've been interested in what you've heard today, please do come visit us at our booth. And who knows, if you're lucky, Chris might try one of his famous Trass-Up lines on you.
Thank you.
All right. For a second to last team, we're going global again. We're going to a multinational, and more importantly, to one of, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the biggest companies in Belgium, being BASF, or in Dutch BASF, because they have sponsored the team of Connector. They have been doing this, this is the second year in a row that they've been sponsoring one of our teams, a bit like the city of Leuven. And for us, again, this is also a very good experience because we've learned a lot by working together with them. And the team and the students have learned a lot by working together with such a big company as well, something that often you don't get to see when you're still a student. So I'm really excited to see the guys from Connector, so they can come to the stage. And if you can give them a big round of applause, I'm sure they'll amaze you.
Hello. Hi, my name is Tel. Nice to meet y'all. This is my co-presenter Robin, and as Lucas already said, we're here today in cooperation with BASF, and we're here to present you Connector. Now, we're already 5th presentation, so we have to get the minds going again, so we want to start off with a simple question. Don't worry, it's simple. Who here has ever talked to someone else before in their lives? Just raise your hands. Right, quite a few people. Now, who here has, after such a conversation, went home, thought back, and didn't remember exactly what the other person had said? Raise your hands. Again, quite a few people. And that's only natural, of course, because after all, we're only human, and our communication is not perfect. And this is not only relevant in our personal lives, but also in our professional lives. You see, essentially, businesses and organizations, they're just clusters of people organized to work together to achieve a goal. And if you want to make a bunch of different people work together, you have to make sure they communicate properly, no? And that's what we focus on with Connector. We focus on improving this communication.
Connector focuses on increasing the quality of communication during company meetings. We have built a meeting facilitation tool that primarily runs on smart screens. Now, these are exactly just whiteboards, actually. Now, to give an example on what you can do on such. Here you have a whiteboard, you can write on it, you can draw on it, and because it's digital, you can import graphs in it and even pictures. You can zoom out, you can Scroll and afterwards add remarks wherever you want. Now, a nice thing you will have as well is that you're not limited in any kind of way. You have an infinite amount of space to add content to, and this for each and every agenda point. Now, some of you might realize or think, I know concepts like this already. And you're right. Similar concepts already exist. But our tool not only facilitates meetings, it also helps people to communicate with each other. And that's what makes Connector unique and better. Now, let's illustrate this by a simple example. Here you have 3 people of a company, Jane, Bob, and Harry. They usually meet together, but they all have one simple problem, a different kind of problem. Now, to start off with, we are going to Jane. Jane mostly works at home. Now she's sitting in the meeting room, but because she's working at home, she often isn't able to participate in meetings. Nowadays, you can have a conference call, but as you all know, that's not really practical. Now, with Connector, that's not a problem anymore. Jane can connect her laptop to the smart screen, and that way she can do it from any location, be it at home or even a different country. It is all possible. Now, this way Jane can follow what's going on when she's at home and also give her own input whenever and wherever she wants. So that's nice, no? Okay, let's go to the next person. If it works, okay, perfect. Here we have Bob. Bob, on the other hand, is mostly responsible for making reports afterwards. Maybe a good question to ask all of you. Who here enjoys making those reports? Just raise your hand. Okay, well, Bob shares that exact same enthusiasm, you know? So Bob has to make sure that everything that was being said and done during meeting has to be recorded in the report. And at the same time, he has to give his own input. And that's hard. This way, a lot of knowledge is being lost, important knowledge and information. So, with Connector, our tool will automatically generate a structured report of everything that was being communicated and said during meeting, be it graphs, notes, or even drawings. It captures it all. And afterwards, the report is being sent to each and every of the single participants. This saves Bob a huge amount of time. And of course, he can actively join meetings and give his own input. And that's what we want to achieve. Good. Let's go to the last person. This is Harry. Harry is not a guy that is very passionate about his job anymore. And automatically, he doesn't want to share his thoughts or say something during meetings in his professional life as well. To motivate Harry during meetings, he needs to be more connected on a personal level to what he's doing. So this is our goal at Connector. Our goal is to make meetings, their setting, more informal. And this we're going to do in 2 ways. First way is what we call food for thought. Thought-provoking situations are being transmitted or displayed at the screen at the beginning of a meeting, or you can even put fun quotes there, just to put yourself in a good mood and have a good atmosphere before you start the meeting off. And that helps. Secondly, we're going to introduce what we call a 1-minute wonder. Here we ask one participant to talk 1 minute about something non-work related, just to start off the meeting with something personal and always that professional. That way, we want to ensure that people get to know their colleagues better, because we know when you feel closer to your colleague, you'll automatically help them more and also, of course, share more information with them. So, with Connector, we also focus on that human aspect. Now, when a meeting comes to an end, Bob, Jane, and Harry has to go back to their day-to-day job. And to do so, they need to know what was being said during the meeting, mostly in the meeting report. Now, in an example with 3 people, you can easily find that. That's not hard. But imagine this on a company-wide scale, involving hundreds or even thousands of people. That automatically gets way harder to do so, and to efficiently find everything that was related to that meeting and to the report. With Connector, we offer a personal meeting hub, an application which tracks all information regarding past meetings as well as future ones, just to keep everything structured, and that will save you time. Perfect. So, to summarize, Connector offers a product that helps people to communicate more, to share more information, that helps and makes sure that information is retained, and afterwards, that information is easily accessible.
Now, it's one thing to build a product that does all that, but it's another thing to turn it into a business. And of course, we started off by mentioning that companies and organizations are clusters of different people, so all companies are different. So how are we going to build one product that fits all companies? Well, we believe that we can't. And so we don't. We will actually tailor our product to each single one of our individual customers so that perfectly fits their company, as we believe they're all different. Now, we've built our prototype exactly in this way by actually going to a company and talking to the employees to know what their needs are. And this company was BASF. Here you can see a picture of the team behind Connector at the BASF site of Antwerp. And based on our talks with them, we've built a prototype. Here you can see it. So it'll run you through it. It's a smart board where you can come into the meeting room and you just register the people that will participate. In the future, the board will know the participants in advance. Then, as the meeting starts, you can add your agenda points. Doesn't matter how many, you can add as many as you like. And then when you're set, you're ready to start adding content. Now, just as Robin explained, there's a drawing functionality displayed here. You can say hello to your colleagues, for example. And then afterwards, Connector turns this written text into typed text, so it's easily understandable for everyone. If this were to be a task, you can automatically assign it to the person who needs to do it, so he or she knows what has to be done. Then afterwards, if your meeting is over, you can press our Generate Report button, and Connector will automatically structure all the information it received into one single report, which is sent to all the participants afterwards. Now, as we build different products for different customers, the question may arise, how will you grow your business if you don't have a single product to sell? Well, we plan to use our tailored development efforts to our advantage. As time progresses and we do more and more projects, our portfolio of software modules will grow, of course. The more projects we do, the more we will get. And the newer modules we will use to offer to our existing customers, as they can be integrated into the packages they already have. In addition, we can combine all of our modules into standardized packages to efficiently gain new customers. Now, of course, we keep on emphasizing that all these customers are different, so they can just cherry pick the features that fit them and request customization if they were to need it. So considering the pricing, if they come to us, they request a certain set of features, we just make up a price quote based on all of this that consists of a one-time lump sum for development and customization, and on the other end, a yearly fee for usage, updates, and maintenance. Now, as we will build a product based on what our customers request, we don't exactly know what the future holds for us, but we did already identify some interesting extensions. The first one is an artificially intelligent bot, a sort of personal companion who will learn how you interact with Connector and adapt it so that it perfectly fits your preferences. In addition, the AI linked to Connector can also analyze communication flows within companies. It knows which departments talk to who, how long the interactions take. Another interesting future development will be voice recognition. In the future, you can just talk to Connector and it does whatever you want. Well, won't be able to get you your morning cup of coffee, but it will be able to make your information sharing experience more easy. And finally, a final extension we have made is integration with our customers' software systems. If Connector can integrate with the systems they already have, then its features are able to be used to their full potential. So in the future, Connector will radically improve the communication flows within companies. You just meet up, share what you have to say, and Connector captures it all. Thank you.
All right. We've arrived at the last team of the evening, Coolscape, a team sponsored by RVO Society. RVO Society has been with us since the beginning of PIP, so we're very thankful of them. And they've always given out challenges that concern around vulnerable target groups, and those are often projects that stand a bit out from the rest because their approach is a bit different, but they've always resulted in very interesting results. So I'm very excited to announce the last team of the evening being Coolscape. Give a big round of applause for Coolscape. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cedric. Next to me stands my colleague Chris. We're from Coolscape. And I would like to start by taking you back to last summer. The summer of 2018 is probably a summer that most of you will still remember. Maybe some of you made a nice trip. Others may went on an amazing holiday. But I don't think I'm wrong if I say that most of you still remember it because of the heat wave. At least I experienced it myself. It was extremely hot. Numbers even say it was the hottest summer since 1833. For the lucky ones among us, each hot day is a good one. They can lie at swimming pool the whole day, make day trips, go to the beach. Basically, they can do whatever they want to do. But for others, it was less amusing. Maybe some of you visited your grandparents during the heat wave. I can only hope you did, but if you did they look like this, or was it more something like this? I still remember exactly how it was when I paid a visit to my grandmother. We wanted to go out, go for a walk, but she just couldn't. It was way too exhausting. Basically, it was so warm that she could not leave her house for just a couple of minutes. And this means that she also rarely saw her friends or her family. And at some point, she told me that she really started to feel isolated. And if this isn't even bad enough yet, climate change will likely increase the frequency of these extreme heat events, and it will be even worse in cities. Because you may know that in cities there exists something like the urban heat island effect. This means that there are certain areas within a city where it is significantly warmer than the surrounding areas. Why? Well, in almost every city, there is less vegetation to create shadow zones. The wind flow is completely disturbed by urban geometry. And lastly, almost everything that is built in a city consists of heat-absorbing materials. The consequences of these heat islands are also known. It is proven that there is an increase in the mortality rate of elderly, and that it indirectly stimulates isolation amongst them. So if it would have been really hot today, what would we all do? We would turn on our air conditioning. But this actually makes the problem even worse, because you do blow cool air inside, which is great, which is fine, but you also blow hot air back into the streets. And all these small elements make that today a city and the people in a city just cannot cool down anymore. And that's why we thought, what if there is an area in public space that is cooled by a few degrees without enhancing the urban heat island effect, giving elderly, but actually everyone in a city, the opportunity to go outside in summer without suffering from these excessive heat events. And of course, we wouldn't stand here if we didn't have the answer to this question. We started as a team, as a group of 9 students with completely different backgrounds. And right now we stand here as firstly a group of friends, but especially as a team. And we found a way to cool everyone down, to reunite everyone, and to break through isolation. We have the pleasure to announce you our cooling flower.
The cooling flower is a large public bench where people can go to get away from the harsh summer sun. The canopy is so large, in fact, that we can guarantee that no matter the time of year and no matter where you sit on the bench, you'll be guaranteed shade even during the hottest parts of the day. The cooling flower also provides a strong cooling breeze, up to 3 degrees below ambient temperature. We believe that this will allow vulnerable groups to get outside and interact with each other, breaking down the barriers that cause isolation. But how does it work? At the core of the device is a large water reservoir. This water is then pumped to the top of the device, where it is evaporated. As it evaporates, it draws in heat from the hot incoming air. This, now cool air, is forced down and out ventilation holes over those sitting and standing around the bench. The cooling flower is almost completely self-sustaining. We will use solar power to run the device, and the large canopy will collect, by our estimates, a minimum of 800 liters of water a day, a month, even in the driest months of the year, based on a city like Leuven. This will significantly offset the amount of fresh water we need to run the device. We think that it's only fitting that in this day and age, a new device is part of the circular economy. To this end, we have carefully picked our materials and made the device as modular as possible. This means that if, say, 1 or 2 pieces of it break, we don't have to throw the entire device away. We can simply replace those pieces, and it can keep going. In keeping with the tenets of the circular economy, we will be primarily offering the cooling flower in a leasing-style contract. This means that our company can take care of maintenance and repair of the device, as well as making sure that it is properly recycled and disposed of at the end of its life. We envision that cities will be one of our largest target markets, and to that end, we have made the device as relocatable as possible. This allows cities to easily place the device near those who need it most. It also means that cities don't need to provide extensive infrastructure, such as electricity or running water to the device, making it very flexible and very useful for modern cities. But we don't just want to stop there. In the future, we envision putting plants under the large canopy to help filter out particulate matter from the city air, as well as adding sensors that will help reduce water usage by only turning the device on over a certain temperature and when people are in its vicinity. By connecting these sensors to the Internet of Things, we will also be able to provide both cities and users with real-time data on how hot it is inside and around the cooling flower, as well as how many people are actually using it. But I know what you're thinking. This render looks really great, and it sounds like a great idea, but how much of it have we actually done? I am incredibly proud to say that our hardworking team have put in countless hours into the design, development, and construction of the first cooling flower, and you can see it outside today. From us here at Coolscape, I would like to sincerely thank you for learning about our project, and we can't wait to cool you down next summer.
All right, that concludes, unfortunately, all of the teams. However, the evening doesn't end here. Before we go out into the reception part of the evening, I want to talk a bit about what we expect from PIP next year. Of course, we've been going on for 4 years now, and we're really looking forward to make that into a 5th year. I can't, unfortunately, tell you which projects we will be having next year. I can, however, give a small sneak peek about the topics that we will be addressing in the PIP projects next year. I made a small selection, so we'll have topics such as augmented reality, as we saw today with the Quibble team as well, healthcare, entertainment, transportation, and of course something we all suffer from, life and work, and more importantly, the imbalance between both of those. So we got quite a lot of topics lined up. Why do we believe in PIP and why do we want to keep continuing this? Because we really see the difference that we can make in the lives of the students. We see them growing each year. They learn a tremendous amount of things throughout the year. And we hope that we can get them to be a bit more open-minded, to be a bit more entrepreneurial. And we believe that we do succeed in that, so we want to keep continuing doing PIP and providing students with this amazing experience. So maybe that's a better conclusion than what I said. We want to transform the future through ideas that those students generate. Now, for those of you that might be interested in taking part in PIP as well, we've got, as I said before in the introduction, we've got an amazing timeline lined up. At the end of the timeline, there's the academic year of 2019-2020, so next year. And there is a PC set up, so you can already register or pre-register if you're interested in taking part. On top of that, we're also still looking for coaches and board members, because they do a tremendous amount of work to make sure that the teams don't fall apart and don't explode. And they're a vital part of this organization, so we're always looking for motivated people to become a coach or a board member. I would like to thank you, lastly. Okay. No, I'm going back. I would like to thank you for being here tonight. Of course, as I said, the evening doesn't end here. We've got a reception lined up. Each team does have their own booth, as you can see. However, we do need to clean up this area, so we need to remove the chairs. So we kindly invite you to go out through the door at my right. And then you can just circle back into the entrance hall where you entered. There are already 3 teams set up there, so you can enjoy their booth, their presentation. You can see their products for yourself. At the meantime, we'll be making sure that we clean this area up very quickly. Afterwards, the catering will be served here as well. But we will notify you whenever that's ready. Okay. Lastly, I would like to ask all of the students to come on stage, because I think I don't deserve that much of applause, but they do as well. So please come to the stage so you can give your last final round of applause. Thank you.
Kan het buigen zo?
Als je wilt, ja.
Misschien moeten wat mensen ook wat meer naar voren. The first year we did this, it was quite easy to get everyone on stage. But it's getting tremendously hard now. Alright, buigingske.